Imagine you are walking into a store and you see two white t-shirts folded on a table. They're made of the exact same cotton, stitched in the exact same factory, and serve the exact same function. One of them has a generic tag and costs $10. The other has a small red rectangular logo on the chest and costs $500. According to every fundamental law of economics you were taught in high school, the rational human being should buy the $10 shirt and laugh at the $5 one. The law of demand states that as the price of a good goes up, the demand for it should go down. It is the bedrock of capitalism. We seek value and efficiency. But we all know that is not what happens. In the real world, the $500 shirt sells out instantly. People camp overnight on the sidewalk just for the privilege of handing over their rent money for it. If the company lowered the price to $20, nobody would want it anymore. The demand exists specifically because the price is irrationally high. This is a glitch in the human operating system that keeps millions of people broke, and it is called the Veblen paradox. My name is Bobby, and I spend way too much time analyzing why we make financial decisions that ruin our future. If you are someone who has ever felt the strange magnetic pull to buy something you couldn't afford just to prove you could, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, because today we are going to dissect the psychology of status. We are going to explore why we are hardwired to signal wealth we don't have, how luxury brands weaponize our insecurity against our bank accounts, and why the only way to actually become rich is to stop trying to look like it. We're going to talk about the man who hated the rich so much he wrote the playbook on their behavior, Thorstein Veblen, and how his century-old theory explains everything from your neighbor's leased BMW to the waiting list for a Birkin bag. To understand why we destroy our wealth to look wealthy, we have to go back to 1899 and meet a curmudgeonly economist named Thorstein Veblen. He looked at the society around him, the Gilded Age of Vanderbilts and Rockefellers, and he realized that the standard economic models were wrong. Economists assumed humans were utility maximizers, meaning we buy things because they're useful. A coat keeps you warm, a car gets you to work. But Veblen saw people buying silver spoons that were too heavy to eat with and corsets that made it impossible to breathe. He realized that utility wasn't the point was waste. He coined the term conspicuous consumption. The core idea is that in a stratified society, the most efficient way to prove you have high status is to publicly waste resources. If you can afford to buy a watch that tells time no better than a $10 Casio but costs as much as a Honda Civic, you're sending a very powerful signal to the tribe. You're saying, I have so many resources that I can afford to set fire to this pile of money and still survive. This brings us to the core mechanism of the Veblen paradox. For certain goods, the price is the feature. In a normal market, price is a barrier. It's the pain you have to endure to get the product. But in a Veblen market, the price is the product itself. If Rolex suddenly decided to maximize efficiency and sell their watches for $200, which is closer to the cost of their materials, they wouldn't sell more watches. They would go out of business. The moment a Rolex becomes accessible to the assistant manager at the grocery store, it loses its entire utility as a status signal for the CEO. The value is not in the gears. The value is in the exclusion. We crave these items not because they are good, but because they are hard to get. This creates an inverted demand curve where raising the price actually increases the desire for the item, because a higher price creates a stronger barrier, which creates a more exclusive club, which makes the signal more valuable. It is a feedback loop of irrationality that drives prices to astronomical levels completely detached from reality. But here's the tragedy of the Veblen paradox. It traps the middle class in a game they are mathematically guaranteed to lose. The wealthy elites, the true leisure class Veblen wrote about, buy these goods with their surplus capital. When a billionaire buys a $300,000 car, it is a rounding error in their net worth. It does not affect their ability to compound wealth. but the middle class looks up at the elites and mimics their behavior to signal that they too are successful. This is what Veblen called pecuniary emulation. You buy the luxury car, the designer bag, and the latest iPhone not because you can afford them, but because you're terrified of looking like you can't. You finance the appearance of wealth by destroying the actual mechanism of wealth. You trade your compounding assets, your stocks, your 401k contributions, for depreciating liabilities just to send a signal to strangers that you're doing okay. This biological drive is rooted deep in our evolutionary history. We are social primates, and for millions of years, status equaled survival. The peacock grows a massive, cumbersome, colorful tail that makes it harder to fly and easier for predators to catch. Why? Because it signals to the female peahens, "Look at me. I am so genetically fit, so strong, and so healthy that I can survive even with this massive handicap on my back." Conspicuous consumption is the human equivalent of the peacock's tail. We buy the giant house with the heated pool we never use and the high-maintenance luxury car that breaks down every 6 months to signal our fitness to the tribe. We are handicapping our financial survival to prove we are survivors. But in the modern world, this instinct has been hijacked by marketing departments that understand your brain better than you do. They know that if they create artificial scarcity, like Hermes does with the Birkin bag, forcing you to beg and buy other products just for the permission to spend $10,000, they can trigger that primal status anxiety. The danger of the Veblen paradox is that the goalpost is constantly moving. Veblen described a treadmill of consumption. As soon as the middle class stretches their budget to buy the entry-level luxury item, the Louis Vuitton bag or the Mercedes C-Class, the elites move on to something more expensive and more exclusive to differentiate themselves. The logo that used to signal wealth becomes basic or tacky once everyone has it. So the elites switch to quiet luxury or stealth wealth, wearing $500 cashmere baseball caps with no logos, and the middle class scrambles to catch up, throwing out their logo-heavy gear to buy the new subtle trend. You are running a race against people who have infinite stamina while you are sprinting on a broken ankle. The irony is that by trying to signal membership in the rich class, you're taking the specific actions, overspending and underinvesting, that ensure you will stay in the poor class. So how do we break this spell? The solution is to opt out of the status game entirely. You have to realize that in the 21st century, true status is freedom, not stuff. The person driving the 10-year-old Toyota who has $1 million in the bank and can quit their job tomorrow has infinitely higher status than the person in the brand new Range Rover who is 2 paychecks away from insolvency. You decouple your self-worth from your net worth. You need to adopt a philosophy of stealth wealth. The truly wealthy people I know, the ones who have won the game, are often the ones you would walk past in the grocery store without a second glance. They understand that wealth is what you don't see. Wealth is the nice cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, the first-class upgrades declined. Wealth is financial assets that haven't yet been converted into the stuff you see. When you feel that urge to buy the Veblen good, to buy the thing that is expensive just to be expensive, pause and ask yourself, am I buying this for the utility or am I buying this for the signal? If you were the last person on Earth, would you still want it? If the answer is no, then you are falling into the trap. You're sacrificing your freedom to impress people who are likely drowning in their own debt. Thorstein Veblen taught us that we are monkeys obsessed with shiny objects, but we have the power to override that programming. We can choose to value compounding over consumption. We can choose to be the master of our money rather than the slave of our status. The most impressive signal you can send to the world isn't a watch on your wrist, it's the peace of mind in your eyes. Hit like if this video made you rethink your next purchase. Follow Bobby for more ways to hack the system, ignore the status game, and build real invisible wealth. I'll see you in the next one.